Welcome back, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Notes My Goats podcast. I am Steve.
I'm the birthday boy.
Happy birthday.
Woo!
You're like still
Old.
pretty young.
I mean, consider where you are, yes. And to
Only 6 years, ass.
I know it really is. And
This feels like a lifetime.
to my 5-year-old, I'm very old.
To my 4-year-old, you're very old too, so it just kind of
True,
works out.
which means you're ancient. But
I am definitely ancient.
here we are, Steve.
It works out.
You know, we're millennials who podcast because we can.
You're fucking calling me the millennial again. I know I am, but it's just
You are, sir.
I still haven't radically accepted that yet, so it doesn't happen.
You identify as somebody else, Steve?
I do identify as cool.
That's a very millennial of you.
Fuck.
Wow. Did I just get us canceled? Probably.
Only with millennials. They don't listen anyway.
That's true.
Technically, our friends are millennials. Shit, they do listen.
It's true. Well,
Brandon's not. We're good.
I was gonna say
not.
Brandon's not.
And Darius probably doesn't identify as like a. I don't want to know right now. Darius, let me know what you identify as.
Yeah, guys, let us know in the comments of this one. What do you identify as?
Platypus.
A toaster.
Wheeler Walker Jr. That's John Batch.
Speaking of Wheeler Walker Jr., guys, go check out a couple of TikToks that Steve and I have on Wheeler Walker Jr. right now, which you can find at Notes My Goats Pod on TikTok. So head on over there.
He's a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. He is like 1B to 1A, which is Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks, Wheeler Walker Jr., and then Jonathan Batchelder.
Yes, that's our Mount Rushmore right there.
I like it. Yeah.
You got to put Hanks in a balance them both out, but
yeah, for sure.
Could you imagine Wheeler Walker Jr. and John Batch?
That would be literally the craziest, but I think that they would feed off of each other very well.
Poor Demi.
I know. But she can handle herself.
And Dave.
David wouldn't know what to do.
Steve's and Demi would be like,
And then there's Carl just smiling in the background.
Well, they didn't invite Carl for a good reason, because if you got the three of them together, it's not a bad idea.
It's true. For sure.
All right.
Anyway,
our Demented Peach guys. We love our Demented Peach family.
Absolutely.
So, Brandon, it is your birthday.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
I didn't buy you anything. I got you a Christmas present. I still haven't given it to you yet.
Hey, that's okay.
What are we talking about today? Because this is technically you run the show. What do you got?
This is mine. We try to pick whenever it's close to our birthday. So like around this time of year, like this one's actually dropping on my birthday.
Yeah.
So we usually let each other pick our birthday episodes. You know, Steve, our first year, you picked Alkaline Trio. That was fun.
I don't know what I picked last year.
I don't know what you picked last year either. I don't even know if we really did it. It just kind of showed up. No, I don't even think we did one for me. Oh no, we were going to. We were going to do
Skillet.
We were going to do Skillet, and then I got scared.
Yeah,
and we ended up doing Imagine Dragons, which is.
And you were still scared.
It's true, but it's fine. This time I'm not so scared, Steve. So this one, oh boy.
No, you're good.
Okay, good. You saw you wagging your finger, and I was like, I don't know. Anyway, so Steve, today
Calm your tits. We're good.
We are going back to my high school days. Circa 2004, guys. I was
in college.
Either depending on what month it came out, I was either in 8th grade or 9th grade. So we'll figure it out there. But anyway, guys, we are talking about the band that was kind of like, which y'all know this by now. They were kind of like my band that I listened to pretty much all through high school. And it is My Chemical Romance and their album 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
Yeah, it is. Now, this is our second My Chem album.
It is. We did Black Parade in 2021. Was it last year?
I believe so.
Was it 2021 or 2020?
I think it was
2022.
Well, it was 2021, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so too.
October. I'm looking it up right now. Beep boop boop. Beep, boop, boop.
While Steve is looking that up, guys, I will just tell you that we actually keep an eye out on all major podcasting platforms for the podcast. Shit, what was the name of that podcast?
Your favorite music is probably.
Oh yes, your favorite music is probably, guys. Of course. Thank you, Steve, for saving me. Your music is probably podcast with friend of the podcast and former guest of the podcast, Mark Montgomery French. We were actually a guest on his podcast, which is coming out around this time within the next few weeks. So go subscribe to his podcast, and then hear us on that podcast, and then go check out his episodes that we had with him, which was in November. We talked, what did we talk about, Steve? Apollo 13. And then we also talked Halsey in August. Yep, absolutely. So, Steve, what you got for us, man?
We did the Black Parade, episode 96, November 2nd, 21. So it's just after Christmas, or Halloween, Christmas,
After Halloween.
before Christmas.
Okay.
So when in 21, when we didn't do Thanksgiving, we just did music.
Yeah,
we did My Chem, November 2nd of 21. So it's been a little over a year since we've done it. And just kind of kicking the tires a little bit here. So when you talk to My Chem fans or MCR fans, there's 2 albums that they bring up.
Yep.
There's 2.
There's
they
2.
have, and they have more. They have 4.
Yes.
They actually have one coming out, rumored to be coming out shortly. So maybe 5. But there's 2. And what's the other one we're doing? So we're doing the other one.
We are doing 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
Yep. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
Yep.
So, My Chem. Again, I'm gonna do a little bit of less backstory than I've done before, because we did do them episode 96 with a lot more backstory. But American rock band from Newark, New Jersey. Band consists of Gerard Way, who's the lead singer, Ray Toro, lead guitar player, Frank Iero, rhythm guitar player, and good old Mikey Way is the bass player.
Yep.
They haven't had an official drummer since 2010. They've had some drummers that have kind of filled in so that the drum on the road with them, but they haven't had an official drummer since 2010.
Okay.
4 albums. Band did go on hiatus from 2014 to 2020. Recently started touring again. Came back during the midst of COVID. That was a bad idea. And then headlined the first When We Were Young festival in Las Vegas. All but the first show was good.
Right.
Sorry, Adam. Gerard Way is still writing comic books and producing TV series like The Umbrella Academy for Netflix. Still writing animes and comic books. He's still doing that. A couple things I found that were very interesting. And Brandon, one of the reasons that you mentioned that you liked My Chem so much is because there is some religious symbolism in the music. They do get a little deeper when it comes to religion, but Gerard actually considers himself a theist. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So a theist, which is a belief that a god or gods, plural, exist, but he's not particular to which one he follows.
Yep.
He acknowledges there's a higher power and admits that his gifts do come from some higher power, but doesn't hold himself set to the rules of one religion after being raised Catholic as a child. So he does admit that there's something bigger than us that's kind of pulling the strings every so often, but he doesn't want to be tied down to the rules of one set religion because, again, who really knows who's right?
Sure.
I kind of like this idea. I actually kind of like this. So I'll think about that. The band's influence is described as they offered up spiritual solutions to real problems. They did it with huge riffs and big theatrical stage shows, with rarely a hint of irony or detachment. It's unlikely there'll ever be a band quite like them again. That was from Kyle Anderson from Entertainment Weekly.
Okay.
So what do you think about that? Like,
I mean, yeah, I think
they were a bridge band for a lot of Christian kids.
They absolutely, and I think that's kind of what they are. Is that? Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because I mean, yes, well, first I was introduced to, like, when you think of rock, Creed. Okay. I know, but to get me into secular, My Chem, my best friend actually introduced me to My Chem and was like, again, some of the symbolism that was there, the beats and the grooves and the musicianship that was going on there with this band led me then to explore other pop punk rock stuff, Sum 41, All American Rejects, the Blink 182, like all of those kind
Fall Out
of
Boys.
Fall Out Boy, all of that kind of whole genre, but it all stemmed from my chem. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say that there's no band like them, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of MCR fans might say that
There's definitely one I can think of. We'll get into them in a minute.
okay,
There's one band that's like them, but not like them.
Okay.
There's only one Gerard Way.
There is only one Gerard Way,
I
correct?
will give them that.
And there is
his-
only one Welcome to the Black Parade track, which is a banger.
correct. I will
in my
stylistically,
opinion.
that dark, emo-ish, very the religious stuff mixed in with just really deep feeling, deep stuff. They give me an AFI vibe.
Oh yeah.
So AFI was precursor to my chem, but AFI went on the
man.
other spectrum of like the Christianity stuff. They were way against the religious. They
Yeah.
mixed a lot of it in, but it was in a detriment to religion.
Right. Man, I forgot about AFI.
And so AFI was kind of the precursor to my chem. Gerard took a little bit of what AFI was doing, that dark forebodingness of AFI, and then just added his own spin to it. Still kept a lot of the same musical ideation and going there, but they do remind me a little bit of AFI.
Yeah,
and not AFI when they started to go downhill, when Davey was just like, I'm gonna do whatever I want, and they got really weird really quick.
Yeah.
Or really popular really quick, which got weird for AFI fans.
Sure.
MCR took the same thing AFI was doing, but didn't sell out and did it their way. Whether you liked it or you didn't like it, they could give two shits. And that's the same thing that Gerard does with his comic books and other stuff as well. You don't have to like it. He don't care.
Right.
Literally, legitimately doesn't. He'll just quit and give up and go do something else, and he will probably be just as good at it.
Yep.
Because this is who he is.
Absolutely.
He's a creative guy. Is kind of what it is. Now, Brandon, we don't talk about sales very much. I do throw it every so often here, but we don't talk about a lot of sales.
Because it's hard.
It's hard, and we're not the smartest of all individuals. And we do this podcast late at night, and we're both dads. This kind of works
100%.
out. So how we figure this out is very easy. I look at Spotify and figure out what the monthly listenership is for Spotify, and I get that for popularity. And I ask Brandon a number, and he has to give me one. So Brandon,
true. Yes.
How many millions? I'll give you a help.
Yeah.
How many millions of Spotify listeners do you think the MCR gets?
All right. So I gotta talk this through, because there's a couple different things at play here, Steve.
Yep.
2023, I have sucked ass so far at this game.
You have not been very good.
I have not been very good. Secondly, I need to take into consideration the fact that, yes, they did play at the We Were Young Fest.
And put out a new track.
A
couple of them, I think.
So I have to take that into consideration too, as MCR fans then are going to listen. I also listened. I don't think it's going to make double digits, but we'll go 7.5 million.
You're closer.
Okay.
They did get to double digits.
Did they? Okay.
12.4.
12.4. Okay. Not awful.
Well,
Could have been better.
At least you didn't go like 80.
Well, I know better than that.
Well, you think so, but you never know.
That's 100% accurate.
Your fandom can come after you, and you're like, they got this. No,
right.
I mean, 12.4 for a band that hasn't put out an album in 10 years.
Right.
They're doing pretty good. And they, like I said, they did at least one new track that I know of. It was okay.
It was okay.
It was hey, we're still relevant.
It's true.
Hi.
I've told you this about it because I've listened to it. I mentioned it in our group chat with Adam Aldridge, because this is the kind of music that Adam likes to listen to too.
And he was supposed to go see him live.
Right. That this is one of those things to tickle the fancy, if you will, for MCR fans.
Yeah.
It's not going to be great, but it'll get you in the MCR's coming back with something.
It's the same thing that Blink just did. That Blink 182 just did.
Yes.
Like they're not looking to get a lot of new fans.
No, absolutely
They're
not.
looking to pique the interest of the people that were their diehards that have
Yes,
money now.
exactly. Who
And
are,
that's
older with kids and jobs and less hair.
and don't have to work with their parents taking them to a show, even though that would still be cool because
Man,
we
I
can
would
drink now.
absolutely.
Mom can pick me up.
Mom, can you take me to a show and just drive them?
My
Just
mom would probably say
drop
yes.
me off at the door and then pick me up when it's done.
That my mom used to do that to me when I was a kid. I mean, like
Yeah.
doing that, drop me off and like pick me back up. But like,
Right.
she'd probably say yes if I said that to her. She'd just hang out and read a book in the
Yeah.
parking lot or something. I'd
There
probably
you
talk her
go.
into it. Or hey, watch my kids while I go watch this show.
There you go. That's kind of what it
Better,
is these days.
better.
For sure.
So Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge was
Yeah.
released June 8th, 2004. It is commonly referred to as just straight Three Cheers.
Yeah.
People just say, when you say Three Cheers, people are just like, yep, that's
Yep.
the one. It's 13 tracks, 40 minutes long. First album to feature Frank Iero as the full-time on rhythm guitar.
Yep.
Album was praised over the cleaner sound from its predecessor, which is I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. That was their debut.
Yeah.
Not a bad track, not a bad album.
Not a bad album. No.
Not a bad album. But this one is a lot cleaner. I will give them that.
Yeah.
Gerard calls this a pseudo-conceptual horror story, describing it as the story of a man and a woman who are separated by death in a gunfight. He goes to hell only to realize by the devil telling him that she's still alive. The devil says he can be with her again if he brings the devil the souls of 1,000 evil men, and the man agrees to do it. And so the devil hands him a gun. That was the idea behind the concept. The record ended up being much more about loss in real life than anything. So I would say it's a good split.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
straight from Gerard.
Wow.
If that doesn't tell you this guy,
right.
the way his brain works, it's a little dark. There's a little bit of like light mixed in there, and you're like,
just a little.
What?
Right.
But if you've read any of his comic books, that makes a lot of sense.
For sure.
It did go platinum in less than 1 year, which is over 1 million copies sold.
Good for
It has
them.
sold over 3 million copies to date.
Wow.
It did peak as high as number 28 on the Billboard 200 in 2021, coincidentally when they released that track, or announced they're making the comeback. It was hit number 51 on the top rock year-end chart.
Wow.
So it's out of 100.
Okay.
It hit 51, so almost halfway in the top 50%.
Yeah.
So not bad. 2016, Rolling Stone ranked this album number 10 out of 40 the best emo albums of all time, which we've talked about the old Rolling Stone and their rankings.
Yeah.
They're not very good. Singles. It had 4 technically.
Yeah.
The 4th one though was only released in the UK. Singles. First one, I'm Not Okay. Second one's Helena. Third one, The Ghost of You. And then the UK only was Thank You for the Venom.
Which,
so,
all right.
It's interesting. I did not know that was only in UK.
I don't know if I would have. I mean, I can see why it's a single, but I don't. Interesting. Interesting that
I don't know why
it's
just a UK. They're huge. Dude, they're huge in the UK.
Well, just like we're
they're
huge
probably
in Japan, Steve.
We are, but they are actually probably bigger in the UK than they are in the US.
Really?
Yes.
It's like Matchbox 20 in Australia.
They're big in Australia too.
Yeah.
They're huge. They're huge there too. But I mean, it's a smaller country than the US. But
yeah,
Australia is weird. They like all kinds of stuff. But MCR is massive in the UK.
Yeah.
So they love them from Gerard Way. So that's it. Brendan, what was your favorite track?
Man, I kind of went chalk. I did go with a
chalk.
Single. I went with a single on this one.
Okay. I didn't, so we're good.
Okay, I did. I went with I'm Not Okay, I Promise as my favorite track. When I was first introduced to this band back in high school, this was one of the first songs that drew me into this band. Although many punk rock bands can lack in dynamic and musical diversity, I feel like this band really knows how to make that shift throughout a track. And it kind of makes it, and it does make them be a super fun band And this is a really good track to listen to. Also, I love when lyrics are brutally honest and when the whole song is pretty tame. Like the whole song for the most part, like yes, it's upbeat and there's like this groove almost the whole time, right?
Hmm.
But then all of a sudden that last chorus goes, I'm not okay. I'm not oh fucking K. Just the brutal reminder that when somebody says that they are not that they are or are not okay, like there's some deep emotion coming from that. And so like when I mean that the track was tame prior, it's like yes, there were a couple of other colorful words
Hmm.
going on with it, but then you hit that line and it's just like, oh, like that shifted it for me. So that one for me, I'm not okay, I promise, was my favorite track.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So I was tracking with you. I could have went with Helena or I'm Not Okay. Those are the ones that jumped out to me first. Um, this album is pretty deep though, so I tried to find something that wasn't single because I figured this being your pick and this being kind of one of the ones that you really like,
Yep.
that you were gonna go chalk, which is again perfectly fine.
Yep.
Um, but I went with The Ghost of You.
Yeah, it's a good track, man.
So it reminds me so much, as I mentioned this before, of like a chill AFI song, but with more depth, which is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
The track gives us kind of a great taste of the emotional capacity of this band and what they can do musically.
Mm-hmm.
Like the lyrics for this are way deep, but the band just keeps up. It doesn't. There's a give and take there on both ends. And Gerard hits his mark without fail as usual on the lyrics, and the delivery is just top notch. But The
Top
Ghost of
notch.
You was was my favorite track. So
I
that
like it.
was kind of where we're going here.
I like it. All right, Steve. It is time for our first game of the day. Guys, it is time for the Chemical Wang.
Let's play Wayne. Let's play Wayne. Word association and game.
All right, Steve. So I put myself in charge of the word association name game today.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm excited for your Shatner's Poetry Slam, though,
I am too.
because you're just putting it together right now.
No,
Let me
I
guess.
picked my songs way
Okay.
before this.
Okay. All right.
I
All
was
right.
prepared.
I like it.
I
All
almost
right.
had maybe a heart attack though, because I couldn't remember if I was doing what game I was doing. And I was like,
Oh,
remember, I prepared. We're good.
yeah. No, you're good. You're good. All right, buddy. So here is your first track Spider Man's Appreciation.
Spider-Man's Appreciation. I have to like the song titles are so long. I have to actually like make the
Click
whole
on the
window
track
big.
and like try to get the, yeah, for sure.
Spider-Man's Appreciation.
Yep.
Is it Hang 'em High?
No, but that's a pretty good guess though, but that's not it. That's
It's not
not.
a fashion statement, it's a fucking death wish.
Well, you're right. Nope.
Spider-Man's Appreciation.
Yeah. Give
Thank you
you
for the Venom.
yes. Thank you for the Venom.
I
Spider Man's
like it.
Appreciation. Absolutely. All right, Steve. Here's your last one. Here we go. What Judas's dad would say.
You know what they do to guys like us in prison?
Wow.
I
No.
got another one.
Oh boy.
Give him hell, kid.
Yes, that's the one.
Is it? Oh
It
gosh.
is. It is. Give him hell, kid. What Judas's dad would say.
Oh
Absolutely.
jeez. Oh
100%.
jeez. That was a total
Oh
guess,
man.
and I'm not unhappy, but wow.
Yeah,
Brandon,
that's
wow.
I went with that. Absolutely.
I had to go
So
full screen so I could read the titles.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. All right, buddy. So let's get into our least favorite tracks.
Okay.
You go first.
All right. I'm not gonna pick the interlude as a cop out, but I
Oh,
could.
I totally did.
Okay, that's good. Um, Instead, I went with You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison.
Yep.
It has potentially the longest title, maybe an homage to like Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy, because there was some interesting fuckery going on with song titles there for a while with these pop punk bands.
Yeah.
I am here for it. I'm just saying. I picked it because it felt the most chaotic. Musically and lyrically, it's all over the place. And while it isn't a bad thing, it's just so different than the rest of the album. It is the least clean track on the album. Like, it's the most like frantic, like kind of just, and I kind of get why, but this reminds me of their debut more. And I'm with the reviewers that like that sound needed to kind of go away
Right.
for a bit.
Right.
This one wasn't that sound, so don't bring that sound back. And they did on this track. And while it's not bad, it is just different. And when you have an album that's just as good, to find a least favorite track, sometimes you got to go with what's the most different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's different weird. So that was what I picked. You know what they do to guys like us in prison, which you and I both wouldn't make it there.
No, not at all. I'd be 400-pound tiny's bitch.
Yeah.
I would be. Not even
Not
gonna
400
lie.
pounds anymore, but that makes sense.
Yeah, well, right. I'm not gonna be your
Yep, you agreed, and then you caught me. Yes.
I did. I wasn't.
That's our-
I had. It took me a minute.
That's our relationship.
Absolutely.
So, Brandon, what is your least favorite track? And you copped out.
I did. I copped out and went with the interlude. Now, I know that this is just under a minute long, but personally, I can't stand when an interlude track doesn't complement either the track prior or the track preceding it. Now, although I can see that it may be attached to Thank You for the Venom, which is the track that follows. The musical cut from the track into Venom just wasn't there, and the flow didn't hit for me. If an interlude or skit track makes sense, fantastic, but this one for me just didn't, in my opinion. So that one for me, the interlude track just wasn't needed. It just wasn't needed. So
I get that. And it's when you look at forums and you look at fans voting on like what their least favorite tracks are, because sometimes if I'm having a hard time picking one,
yeah,
I will look at Reddit and I'll look at other fan forums and I'll be like, why did you rank it this way? And a lot of times you'll get that one guy on Reddit that'll be like, and they'll like list them all out. And I'm like, that's actually makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. Like, I agree with you, that one. That one's probably, or if I have to pick between 2 or 3, I'll go on Reddit or I'll go on the internet and be like, rank these for me. And then look at it and go, that's kind of where I'm leading to. Okay, good. And I got somebody else to kind of back me up.
There you go.
Makes me feel good about myself. So I do the same thing, but yeah, a lot of people on Reddit didn't like the interlude. And they said the same thing you did. It's probably an intro. If they'd have just packaged it with Thank You for the Venom, it'd have been better.
Yep.
And not actually put it as a separate track, but
yep, absolutely.
So now it is time for us to do the MCR Shat Attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen,
this is Shatner's Poetry Slam.
And Brandon, I have 2. Do you have the track list pulled up?
I do.
All right. Some of these are long, so make sure you got them all looked out so you know which one it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I say song title, I got to skip 14 lines. You figure it out.
Yeah, right.
All right. First one. For what you did to me and what I'll do to you, you get what everyone else gets. You get a lifetime. Let's go. Do you remember that day when we met? You told me this gets harder. Well, it did. Been holding on forever. Promise me that when I'm gone, you'll kill my enemies.
Cemetery Drive.
Nope.
Hang 'em high.
Nope. The damage you've inflicted, temporary wounds. I'm coming back from the dead, and I'll take you home with me.
Give 'em hell, kid.
Nope. I'll give you one more. I'm taking back the life you stole. We never get that far. This helps me to think through all the night. Bright lights that won't kill me now or tell me how. Just you and I, your stareless eyes remain.
The ghost of you.
Mm-mm.
What am I
It's
missing?
not a fashion statement. It's a fucking death wish.
Oh man.
The next line is hip hip hooray for me. You talk to me, but would kill you in my would you kill me in my sleep? Holy shit, Gerard. Yeah, he went deep there.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta get the other one pulled up here. There it is. All right, number 2. He calls the mansion not a house, but a tomb. He's always choking from the stench and the fume. The wedding party all collapsed in the room. So send my resignation to the bride and the groom. Let's go down. This elevator only goes up to 10. He's not around. He's always looking at men. Down by the pool, he doesn't have many friends. As they are, face down and bloated, snap a shot with the
Ghost
lens.
of you.
Mm-mm,
Helena.
mm-mm.
It's a popular track. I know that though.
If
Well.
you marry me, would you bury me?
Cemetery Drive.
Mm-mm.
Jesus,
you
what
one
is
more.
happening right now?
Would you carry me to the end?
To the end.
There it is.
Hey, look at that. I was like, wait a minute.
I was gonna keep going, and I was like, did he get it? Did he get it? Did he get it?
Oh
That's
my
right.
gosh.
To the end. Hey, I got you. I got you twice.
You did get me twice. It's
at
tough
me.
because he's such a good lyricist that he doesn't incorporate. He's not one to kowtow to the track title.
No,
and
he's not one that they have to. You have to.
You have to know
really-
the track.
You have to know the track to figure it out.
Yes, you have to know the track and listen to what it is to.
Oh,
That's
for
why I
sure.
struggle. That's why
He's
I struggled.
He is a strong lyricist. I tell you what, it figures it out.
Ugh.
So that brings us to our deep cut tracks. I'll go
It
first.
does. All right, buddy.
Give you a chance to take a breather.
Yeah.
I put you on a pedestal there. My deep cut track was actually "Thank You for the Venom."
It's a good track, man.
So many underrated songs in this album that are lesser known to the general public and hit incredibly freaking hard.
Mhm.
Everybody knows I'm Not Okay, I Promise. Everybody knows Helena. But there's so many other ones. I picked this one because I had no idea it was actually a single. I love
I
the
had no
lyrics and the
idea.
spiritual meaning behind this song when I was a kid, and I can kind of relate to it more now as an adult. According to Gerard, the song is about people going door to door trying to evangelize and force you to agree with their religious views.
Mhm.
Now, you can swap or interchange religion with political views, and I'll give you 2022.
Mhm.
This song really encapsulates the hyper-political culture that we find ourselves in,
Mhm.
or hyper-contrary culture. If you're
Sure.
not with me, you're against me.
Mhm.
And it came out, damn near 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But again, keep telling me that music and video games are the problem. Just keep
Right.
keep beating that drum there, everybody.
Right.
Thank You for the Venom is a snapshot of, I want to say humanity, but I'll say American humanity.
Mhm.
And it's not changing. It's probably just getting worse.
Right.
We can't live in a gray area. We can't find a middle path as a society. There can't be two truths to every situation, which I do DBT therapy quite frequently now. And in almost every situation, there's two people talking. There are two truths on either side of that equation.
Mhm.
It just takes each person to understand that you have a truth and I have a truth. It may not be the same truth, but it's still the truth.
Mhm.
And it's okay. And I think with Gerard's religious background and him having to people go door to door, him maybe having to go door to door and evangelize
Sure.
and getting shit on because it's a really terrible way to talk about your religion.
Yeah.
Especially now,
Yeah,
COVID
for
and
sure.
everything else. But
For sure.
it's a shitty way to try to get people to vote the same way you do too. It's okay
Mhm.
to be different. You can still be friends.
Absolutely.
Look at Brandon and I. Love ya.
Wow.
We are different. I have hair.
It's true. It's 100%. And you've got a bigger beard.
And I got a bigger beard.
Yeah.
But thank you for the Venom. Just kind of gave me a very good bad, I guess, good and bad
Yeah.
kind of snapshot of where we currently stand as a society.
Mhm.
And it kind of made me sad a little bit, but also like the way he put it was just like, yep, that's
Mhm.
exactly how life is right now.
Mhm.
So I get that. So Brandon, what about you? What was your deep cut?
I picked Give 'em Hell, Kid.
Give him hell. I love it.
Yeah, as my deep cut. The chord progression that the song is built upon is especially going from it's amazing, especially going from the verse into the chorus. It really brought me chills every single time. It's just a subtle bump in the chord progression, but also this track really showed off how good of a guitarist and drummer that were a part of this band at this time. The drumming groove was super solid. But then the many guitar riffs that were going on through this track, fantastic as well. Give 'em Hell, Kid, my deep cut, solely based on the construction of the track and the musicianship throughout. So, Steve, let's round this guy out. Let's give our final thoughts and our rating on this one. Overall, album isn't bad. For me, very nostalgic more than anything. Will I listen to this album in full again? Absolutely. But do I have certain tracks that I prefer over others? Also, absolutely. I felt like this album was good, but could have contracted a little bit better. Like it could have just my contracted. I'm like, what is that? Why? No, it should have been constructed a little bit better. Let's try that again. So yes, I feel like a lot of the album was more top heavy than it was well balanced. In my opinion, doesn't really give too much of a sway either way. Still a big fan of MCR. That will not change for anything. For me, though, this album as a whole, 7.5 out of 10.
Oh. Wow. So you and I are big difference in this one. Not big, I
Okay.
guess. Because we're still pretty high on both ends. But for me, I actually think this is MCR's best album.
Okay.
Now, hear me out. The Black Parade's good. It's a great album. It's very good. And it is incredibly technically sound, buttoned up, and made to sell records.
Mhm.
But the rawness of this album is what sets it apart. They found just enough of their debut album to add a bit more rawness into this one. They didn't go full because that debut album was super raw,
Yeah.
frantic, all over the place. And they added just enough into this one to really make it something special, but also cleaned it up a lot. MCR at this time was getting big, but they hadn't gotten big yet when this album came out.
Mhm.
They were the new kids on the scene. They had very little to prove.
Mhm.
So for me, when a musician comes out with a debut album after a sophomore album, after a strong debut, but not anything to really write home about, you picked up a good amount of fans, you got stuff, and then they kick it off with a banger of a single with "I'm Not Okay, I Promise," and then you're like, okay, now we're something. Now we're selling out, arenas and shit. We're actually headlining tours.
Right.
Big tours, not just little ones. They had little to prove. They had like all their chips are on the table.
Mhm.
So when a band is pushed to that limit, and like we're playing with house money right now, big guys, like there's nowhere to go but up. So when the Black Parade came out, you really only could go down. Because at
Mhm.
that point, like people expected "I'm Not Okay, I Promise." And the Black Parade took this and elevated it,
Mhm.
but the expectation was there to elevate. There was no
Yeah.
expectation for this album.
Yeah.
So I crump this as their best one because of what they did with very little expectation from their fans
Mhm.
or from the general public, like as in reviewers, and as we care too much about fucking reviewers, we are reviewers. Look at us.
Yeah, look at that.
Musically, the band shows their talent. Gerard was on another level when it came to showmanship and writing. I've seen these guys live twice. They're amazing. I've seen them opening for bands. I've seen them headlining. They're
Mhm.
they're amazing. Gerard is a showman.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a show. If you enjoy pop punk and emo music and you haven't checked out MCR, I doubt that. But if you haven't, check out this album. I think you'll be happy with it. They only have 4.
Yeah.
And their latest album, the 4th album, isn't bad, but it got really artsy. Really the stride is 3 Cheers and the Black Parade. Those two are
Yeah.
the meat for the sandwich there. But for me, man, on a straight album construct, I
Mhm.
gave him a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow. I like it.
It's a good listen,
Mhm.
and it's a good way to just kind of figure out how, like, these young kids just were like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's do what we want and see what happens. And it worked. So
it did.
I went 9.5. I like this one.
I like it, man.
Little nostalgia. I was actually in college when this came out too, so a little nostalgia bump for me as well, probably. So
Yeah,
it's
for
probably a
sure.
solid 8. It's probably between the two of us, but it's probably a solid 8. But a
Absolutely.
nostalgia bump. So Brandon,
Steve.
it is late January.
Well, it's the middle of January, let's be
Well,
honest.
yeah, you know,
It's
we're in the
more
back
middle.
half.
Well, we
We're
just
in the
started
back
the ba-
half.
We are in the back half.
We're going late.
We are.
You're late. You're late for an important date.
It's
That's right.
true.
Going
It's
Alice in
true.
Wonderland on your ass.
There you go.
So it is only January 17th. I know it's your birthday.
It is.
Happy birthday once again.
So, Steve, before we go, let's plug social media, man.
Yeah, let's do
Where
that.
can our kids find us?
You guys can find us in a bunch of places. Right now, primarily, you're going to find us on Facebook and Instagram. That is where we post, seems like incessantly, at least 2 to 5, 10 times a day,
Yes.
depending on the day, and how busy or not busy I am. But at least 2 times a day, we do throw something out, talking about other podcasts we've done, other events we might have coming up, things that kind of just pop into my mind, and then I share a lot of memes and GIFs and things like that. But Instagram and Facebook are the 2 big heavy hitters right now. We are on Twitter, per se. We don't do anything on there very often because I don't tweet.
Right.
And most of you don't either. So, and then you can find us on TikTok at the Notes by Goats Pod, where I am starting to ramp that up now and doing more on there. And I'm going to push my bald-headed friend over there to do some more as well. We got to start ramping that beast up so we can do some things on there live. Just got to find something that hits, basically. It'll keep throwing darts at the wall. One of the times it'll hit something.
It'll hit. Yep.
Figuring it out. But those are the places you can generally find us, as well as all podcasting platforms and music platforms. We're on just about all of them. The 2 heavy hitters for us are Apple Pods and Spotify. Give us a follow on all of those, like, review, give us a rating, especially on Apple Pod. That does help there. But the one biggest thing you can do to help us out is just share our posts on social media. Repost our TikToks, share the crap on Facebook, the funny stuff, even the not funny stuff. If I made you go, share that. It's probably pretty funny to somebody else.
Yes.
Or just ignore it and come back 10 minutes later because I'll probably post something else funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but share that stuff. It helps us reach new people. We were over 1,000 followers on Facebook. We're trying to up that number. I want to get over 5,000 this year, but it's going to take you guys helping us out to get us to that number. And that just helps us reach more people with the podcast. So we have big, lofty goals for 2023, and we need your help. So come on out, give us a follow, give us a like, and let's see if we can make this thing huge, man. But this has been Brandon's birthday. Happy birthday, number 33. Am I correct?
You are correct. 33.
Look at me go. I just took 6 years off of my age when I'm going to turn this year.
True.
You do maths in my head, and I'm not drinking, so we're good.
There you
Happy
go.
33rd birthday, dude. We will see
Thank
you
you,
for
buddy.
34 for sure.
Mhm.
With something else that's gonna be, you'll probably do fucking Celine Dion. You maybe do Celine next year. I can see it. Titanic soundtrack. Douche. Good old
I-
James Cameron.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see.
We'll figure it out. But this has been My Chemical Romance. 3 cheers for Sweet Revenge. We will see you guys on Friday as we get into something completely different than this one.
Completely different.
Have a good day. We'll see you on Friday.
Bye, guys.
Notes, look out. Notes, look out.